They believed they'd forgotten you. They thought they could corner you. They thought they could turn off your light. They didn't recognize you were a selected soul. You didn't fall. You grew. You did not lose. You became stronger. And now the divine order has taken its place. Whoever tried to stop you, who has been behind your back, and who is worried about your ascension has reached the conclusion of their voyage. There are no shadows to hide in or holes to escape through. There is no game to play. The truth is out, and you are the truth. Today is a turning point. Today, divine justice becomes apparent. Today is the beginning of a rise that people who despise you will have to see. And you know what? You're just getting started. Get ready, because this is not just your ascension, but also the call of others who will raise your vibration. Illuminate your route. Accept your destiny. Your light will no longer be held back. Your voice will no longer remain silent. You'll no longer be ignored. Feel the support of the whole universe. Because every hurdle you encountered was meant to help you rather than hinder you. They unwittingly groomed you. They made you stronger than steel. It's time to make the move. Now is the time to realize the significance of all that has happened and to be completely yourself. Are you ready? Then write in the comments. Because there is no turning back now. The recent lunar eclipse was more than just another astronomical phenomenon. It wasn't simply a fleeting moment to love and then forget. This calamity had a force unlike any other, an unseen shift that transformed the very fabric of existence. It was more than simply the conclusion of one cycle. It was a rebalancing of the whole cosmic balance, resetting the path of destiny that had long been linked in unseen patterns. The tides of energy that used to flow in predictable ways have abruptly altered, destroying old imprints and transforming previous loads into the very foundation of something greater. It was as if the unseen architect of fate had redesigned the soul's path, correcting centuries-old imbalances. Every action, emotion, and choice that was previously scattered across a long period of time has been gathered, recorded, and weighed. Nothing was lost in the big plan of the cosmos. Every step, whether in darkness or in light, has been documented. And now the balances have shifted in favor of a higher order, one that recognizes the difficulties encountered and the unwavering determination. What looked unchangeable has been shattered. The sturdy mechanisms that formerly held power together have broken, clearing the way for something entirely new. What was wrongfully withheld, confiscated, or delayed beyond reason is finally being restored in full. No atom of energy utilized against the rightful bearer will remain misaligned. The complex process that controls the unseen currents of life has begun. Great adjustment. What was lost is returning, although larger, cleansed, and in harmony with the greater order of things. The intentions of those who sought to block the light. Whoever conspired in secret to keep its full brilliance hidden has now been exposed for who they really were. The present trend is towards repair rather than revenge. A return to truth as the driving notion. This growing equilibrium has no desire to punish or concern itself with human notions of fairness. Instead, it employs an irrefutable force to ensure that all energies return to their rightful positions and that every vibration corresponds to the frequency of their source. This was no ordinary cosmic show, no fleeting alignment of planetary masses. It was a cosmic symphony, a grand display of energies beyond the human eye's sight. A doorway between realms, previously obscured by veils, has opened, allowing higher-order energies to infiltrate our globe and fill every living thing with frequencies previously unavailable. The shift has long been debated, not just in quiet spiritual discourses, but in the fundamental fabric of time itself. Those who came before realized that this was the moment in the great unfolding when the heavy weight of the past would be lifted and the unseen forces holding stagnation in place would be eliminated. This realignment was not the consequence of chance, but of a long-awaited turning moment. One prophecy covered several civilizations and lineages. The world breathes differently now. pulsating at a frequency that beckons those meant to rise. If you are feeling an abundance of divine love in your heart, now is the time to share it. To help spread God's blessings, click the super thank you button on YouTube and donate $100 or more. This great gift will touch not just your life, but the lives of many others via this platform. Each of you plays a unique part in God's grand plan, and your generosity will be the answer to our prayers. Act now. Share your advantages to honor His kingdom. In God's loving hands, you were designed to do much greater things. May God bless you. The trip that got to this point was far from serene. For generations, encounters with unrelenting struggle refined the spirit into something unbreakable. The fires of experience did not just burn. They mastered betrayals, leaving scars but also serving as emblems of enlightenment. Setbacks that were brutally timed now reveal themselves as intentional preparations for the events that will occur. The shadow that had previously lingered overhead, whispering doubts into tired souls, has lifted. Those long hours of uncertainty, when the weight of unseen battles felt insurmountable, were not wasted. The voyage was challenging, and the challenges were relentless. And there were moments when even the strongest among the chosen questioned the basic foundation of their purpose. But capitulation was never an option. Even in the deepest silence, the darkest moments of alone, something inside refused to die. That inner fire, however dented and muted at times, never went out altogether. It flickered, waiting for the winds of fate to shift. When will the tides turn? When the unseen hands of the universe finally ease the load that had been carried for far too long. That moment has finally arrived. The balance has been restored, and every effort, sacrifice, and unwavering devotion to truth has not gone unnoticed. The universe has chronicled silent victories, hushed fights, and moments when resilience was the only choice. There is no such thing as an undiscovered tear, an unrecognized act of courage, or an unrealized dream. Every choice exhibited honesty. Every act of persistence, even when submission seemed easy, has been etched into the very fabric of existence. The vast cosmic scale remembers what has been endured, and what has been lost is now destined to return, not as retribution, but as the proper flow of energy returning to alignment. Delays were never rejections, but rather deliberate pauses to ensure that the return happened when it was most important. And now the tide has shifted, not in whispers or gradual adjustments, but in a clear surge. This is not a trickle. It is an unstoppable current, reclaiming what was always supposed to be the barriers that previously seemed impenetrable are falling in ways that no force of will could have destroyed before. Where once there was resistance, there is a tunnel where before all doors seemed to be shut, but now they open with flawless perfection. The energy formerly used struggling for access may now be used for innovation, development, and enjoyment. Those who questioned, mocked, and decided that the war would end in loss are now silent spectators, seeing what was always going to happen. This is not the time for revenge or to prove anything to the outer world. It is the subtle but unmistakable proof of a divine order that has never wavered, been thwarted, or failed to account for itself. The conceptions of constraint, which formerly limited options, are now collapsing. What was formerly believed unrealistic is now appearing in incontrovertible form. Others rejected visions, but they are no longer just ideas. They are taking shape in the real world with undeniable intensity. Those who formerly ignored the call, who questioned the path, are now seeing the undeniable unfolding of destiny. Small nudges from the unseen world have matured into undeniable signals that are no longer just coincidences, but irrefutable signs of harmony. This is not about chance. It's about a force that's as steady and relentless as the movement of celestial bodies, and it's taken off fully. The past stirs, not as a haunting echo, but as a whole cycle. Faces that had faded into quiet are reappearing, carrying the weight of unfinished tales. Some arrive with obligations, trying to heal the rifts they left behind. Others appear as bridges to new opportunities, supplying the missing pieces that were always meant to be returned. Others appear merely as reminders that a chapter is going to be closed forever. This was not an accident. It is the last clearing of the old to create room for what is new. The mind, which had become used to particular patterns, now finds them disagreeable. What was formerly considered normal now seems weird, out of date, and unsuited for the changing rhythm of life. What was once stable now seems to be a cage. This is not a trivial adjustment. Everything is being reorganized to match the current expansion. Not everyone will hear this call. It is not for those who follow the norm. It is intended for those who have always felt a connection to something higher than themselves, but have never had proof. Who trusted without promises. They are the ones that defy expectations, go against the grain, and refuse to conform to a world that was never intended to accommodate them. They are not seeking clearance or waiting for confirmation. They exist outside of the limits imposed on them. And now the world is shifting to make place for who they were always intended to be. There is no more waiting, second-guessing, or questioning if the road is real or imagined. The moment has arrived, not in the far future, not in some unfathomable possibility, but now. The moment has arrived to align. The chance has presented itself, and it is now up to you to take the next step. There is no need to get permission. No confirmation will be received. No external assurance is necessary. The path has already been established, and it identifies those who are intended to follow it. It does not allow for doubt. It embraces those who walk ahead, certain that they belong. The weight of the past has eliminated the ambiguities that had previously hampered vision. There is no longer place for the concept of limitation. The moment was always arranged, and now it's arrived. A threshold has opened, not as a distant dream, but as an undeniable reality waiting to be taken. The formerly solid barriers have dissolved, revealing previously hidden paths. The weight that previously impeded forward motion has been eliminated. Stepping into this huge, unexplored terrain needs more than passive awareness. The forces of existence have aligned, but your next step is to go forward. You must first free yourself from the remnants of past hurts, disappointments, and bindings that formerly bound you to a lesser version of yourself and cannot be carried forward. Releasing does not imply rejecting what has happened. It is about regaining what was never meant to hold you prisoner. It is an act of liberation, a determination to be free of what no longer defines you. Moving on from the past does not involve discarding the lessons learned through suffering. The lessons live on not as chains, but as trained instincts that guide with precision, understanding, deception, sense, misalignment, and the capacity to discriminate between genuine connection and illusion. These truths have been chiseled into your life, yet they are not meant to weigh you down. They are meant to enhance your judgment. The time for indecision has passed. There is no longer space for cutting down to fulfill expectations that were never yours in the first place. The light will no longer be reduced for the benefit of those who refuse to see. The present movement is neither tentative or conditional. It is a return to the full extent of your existence, without ambiguity, since the very foundation underneath you was designed to support it. The truth should no longer be spoken with hesitation. The presence, which had previously been minimized to avoid disruption, must now be clearly emphasized. Taking up space is not considered an act of defiance. It is a natural expression of life. Not everyone will accept this adjustment, and not everyone was expected to. Some may regard progress as a reflection of their own stagnation. Others will strive to connect with the greatness they are unable to create on their own. Even so, some people may wish to reintroduce themselves as your story evolves, uncomfortable with the stark clarity that lights upon them. Protection does not mean retreat. It is about keeping sovereignty and allowing just what is compatible to remain within reach. Presence means power, but access is not a right. It was earned. Timing has always been precise. Though skepticism may have indicated otherwise, the apparent rejections were never dismissed. They were nudges toward the intended outcome. Waiting was never an oversight. There is never a delay without a reason. Every bend, stop, and closure on one route was carefully designed to ensure that the doors that open today are not just capable, but also ready. What is coming has never been forgotten. It was being polished. The alignment of circumstances is the consequence of meticulous preparation, ensuring that what is supplied today is not only received but also preserved, nurtured, and expanded beyond what was before imagined. The cycles that define experience have been fulfilled. The deaths from both struggle and reward have been accounted for. The misalignments and distortions have been resolved, and the path forward is now apparent. There is no gradual unfolding. This is an amazing metamorphosis. Clarity has replaced uncertainty. What was once buried is now readily evident. The forces that seemed far have come closer, calling not in hushed tones, but with a resounding call that cannot be ignored. Consider a seed deeply buried in the ground. Not by coincidence, not by calamity, but by design. For a minute, it only knew darkness, pressure, and the weight of the soil above. Behind the scenes, however, something big was happening. The roots are hidden but distinct. The outer shell collapsed not because of weakness, but because it was necessary for life to emerge. Then one day, the moment arrived. The warmth of the sun, the appeal of the vast sky, the call to rise. Everything was there. The seed did not hesitate. It did not ask if it was worthy of the light, if it has evolved enough, if the time was correct. No, it just moved higher since climbing did not need pushing. It was always meant to happen. Dear brothers and sisters, may God's peace be upon you today. I am here to remind you of a basic reality. Our existence is founded on God's divine purpose and is not influenced by earthly concerns. According to the Bible, whatever done with faith will be repaid to God with tremendous blessings. Luke, just like that. Great oak tree. Our roots are deeply anchored in God's universal truth. His might protects every step and posture we take. You now have the opportunity to be a part of that gift. When you use the super thank you button and give $100, you will get a 100-fold return on your investment. That is where you are now. You were never buried. You were planted in all directions, bearing every moment of tension and stretch in the unknown. It wasn't in vain. It was a preparation. And now the shell has shattered. The soil had split, and the light is calling you forward. It was never about an external force granting authority. It was always about identifying what already existed. What you are about to experience is not an unexpected ability or a gift from above, as if you were waiting for permission. No, this is the reclaiming of what has always been yours. The fog that formerly shrouded this world has dissipated. What you've been searching and yearning for has always been inside you. You don't need to fight for it. You do not have to pursue it. You don't need to beg the gods for what they've already granted. You just need to step into it. Too many individuals assume that power originates from outside of themselves and must be acquired, something that only a select few are chosen to possess. However, it is a lie. The real ones are those who walk in divine favor, the ones that move in synchronization and transform the atmosphere when they enter a room. They do not draw electricity from the planet. They don't wait for affirmation. They do not diminish themselves to meet restricted expectations. No, they recognize that the power they hold was imprinted in them before they ever took their first breath. It was present as they wept. Their first tears fell when they confronted their first storm, when they lost something they thought they couldn't live without, but persevered. It has been there all along, waiting for them to recognize who they are. That moment has finally arrived. No more wondering whether you're ready. No more waiting for optimum conditions. No more hesitating. I am thinking whether it is time. It is now. The world is moving. The ground under your feet is giving way. Every force that has tried to hold you back is losing its grip. You do not need to force the door open. It's already swinging wide. You do not need to climb an impassable ladder. The rising has already begun. This isn't about striving. This is about stepping. This is about claiming what you have always had. But listen to what I say. You must make a move. The universe has done its part. The barriers have been removed. The route has been cleaned. The chains have been broken. But what good is an open door if you won't go through it? What use is the light if your eyes are closed? You must decide. You must take a step. You must embrace the strength that has been waiting for you. Because if you don't understand this, no one can take it from you. However, you may choose to leave it on the table. And that is not what you were created for. You weren't supposed to sit on the sidelines of your own destiny. You weren't placed in this predicament to watch others ascend while you paused. You were not led through the fire to sit in the ashes. No, you were made to ascend. You were intended to go forward, expand, take up space, and speak with a voice that does not tremble. To stand in hallways that were previously closed to you, knowing full well that they have no choice but to give way for the one wielding divine power. It's like being in front of the gates of a lovely city, a place you've always wanted to visit and felt deep down was meant for you. You've traveled far through deserts of uncertainty, storms, and misery, as well as valleys where you thought you'd never rise again. And now the gates are open. The route is apparent. The gods do not want to keep you out. They were not present at all. The only thing keeping you from living the life you've always desired is your own hesitation. So let this be the last day. You are unsure whether you are adequate. Let this be the last day. You hesitate when you should be pushing forward. Let this be the last day. You stand at the door, wondering whether you are allowed to enter. The invitation has already been sent, and your name is printed in permanent ink. The only thing left to do is say yes. But listen to what I say. Waiting ultimately leads to resistance, when being still causes panic rather than patience. Dressed up in spiritual jargon, when the door is wide open and the promise is laid out for you. However, you are reluctant because you have been trained to believe that you must suffer a little longer. Try a little harder. Prove yourself a little more. That is a falsehood. That is the greatest trick to persuade you to believe. You still have to earn what has already been freely given. Do you suppose the tree asks the sun for permission to bloom? Do you feel the eagle is concerned about whether it has flown far enough to deserve the sky? Number creation knows its purpose. The river does not beg the land for space to flow. The stars do not ask whether they can shine. They just do, because that's what they were intended for. And you've been prepared for this for far too long. You stood in front of the locked doors. You hammered your hands till they were raw. You've argued for places that were never meant for you. What if I told you that you had been knocking on the wrong doors all along? What if I told you that the room you tried to enter was too small for the new you? What if I told you that the waiting was not about being denied, but about preparing for something bigger? Everything changes as you go inside. You will no longer conform to the expectations of others. You will no longer question whether your presence is welcome. You will no longer dispute your strength. You will walk with the confidence of someone who has been chosen and anointed for a larger mission than you could have imagined. Allow me to tell you something. The people who questioned, ignored, and tried to hold you down will have no choice but to watch you soar. However, this isn't about proving them wrong. This isn't about retribution or validation. This is about fully embracing the design that was always yours. This is about becoming who you were meant to be. It's time to distribute God's blessings by clicking the super thank you button on YouTube. With a $100 donation or more, you may assist him carry out his plan and be a part of this wonderful mission. Every payment is God's kindness, and I believe it will return to you greatly, far above your expectations. Remember that his protection and blessing are there in every step and contribution. You become a part of his divine plan. You are a tremendous, bright being, as solid as the big rock that saw God's miracles. Feel the benefits of your compassion in your soul and light up the world with confidence and courage. Be blessed and let the light of the Lord guide you. Let go of the need for approval. Let rid of your concern about what others may think. Get rid of any reluctance that has kept you grounded when you were supposed to soar. The time of questioning has finished. The time for waiting is past. The gates are open. The moment has arrived to fulfill the pledge. The only thing left to do is follow through. Because once you step into this, you will reclaim the power you have always had. There is no going back once you walk with the confidence of someone who understands they have been chosen. The weight of the past will not hold you back. Others' opinions will not sway you. The concerns that were whispered in your ear will not follow you into the next season. The transformation has already happened. The door is already open. The light is already shining. And all of creation is watching, waiting, anticipating. The instant you take your seat, now rise. The magnitude of what awaits does not allow for hesitation. The flow of existence itself is now coursing through every fiber of being, moving on with no hesitation or fear. There is nothing left to wait for. The preparation phase is concluded. The unfolding has begun, and all that remains is to fully accept it, knowing with absolute certainty that it was always intended to be.